I would, I would also like to invite Mr. Nipun Kaushal, Chief Marketing Officer and Head CSR Yes Bank, for the opening address. Over to you, Nipun, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know, after seeing such beautiful videos and such fantastic sound, it kept us awake after such a good lunch. Now I think I'll try and keep you awake for a little more longer. It's a task, but I will try and do it to my best of abilities. So this entire session is going to be on data, how you leverage data, and we have some fantastic agencies who are doing some great work on data. I would like to bring in the perspective from a marketer's point of view. One is how good he is leveraging technology, how well equipped we are to leverage this technology. Am I being put right from where I've been happy driving car in Mumbai to straightway onto the German highways or something? Am I really equipped to manage these kind of data? So my views will be only from the marketer's point of view, and I'm sure this room is full of a lot of geniuses, people who understand this field much better than I do, and maybe that can leave some thoughts for you guys, how to explain us when we are looking at doing a digital marketing campaign, or how do we like to leverage data. Having said that, I don't know how many of you actually know Yes Bank has a market share of nearly 40% of all the UPI transactions that happen in India, which runs into few billion transactions every month. So that's the kind of data that we collate, whether it is NEFT or IMPS. We are the market leaders in that. To get in, so entire Bharat Pay, Phone Pay, the backend is by Yes Bank. So we are flooded with a lot of data. But what question comes to my mind is, because I remember people say data is gold, data is diamond, data is the new fuel. But the fact of the matter is, what is the quality of data? As a bank, I have a certain quality of data what I get. How much of it from regulatory standpoint can I use? Because you have a lot of restrictions on that. And second is, what quality of data? And in my previous organizations, I remember we used to always get certain set of data where if the date of birth wasn't mandatory, there were quite a large chunk of people who were more than 100 years old. Because it's not mandatory, so people don't fill the data. So whether it is a gold, fuel or diamond, I think more important as an organization it is for us to see how well we have refined it, how well we have done our mining on it. Because if the quality of data is not going to be optimal, any amount of fantastic programs we run on it, the results will be suboptimal. A lot of times, and it's including me, a lot of times what happens is we see, okay, there is this data, we think this customer will buy this certain banking product of ours. A lot of this is coming from the baggage that we guys carry over the years being in the sector or being in the financial sector. And that always does not give you the right lens to look at the customer. So again, so the limited point which I wanted to say was, is data important? Of course it's most important. But I think more important than that is the quality of data, because once you have the right quality of data is when you can leverage the data. So with that point, I thought it's very important, and I said, I'm looking from a marketer's point of view. There is one of the largest beverage companies, Coca-Cola. Now, and they are pioneers in advertising and marketing. I mean, nobody can challenge a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi or an Apple on that. Coca-Cola also did an experiment where they said, we are going to allow people to select the flavor of Sprite that they want. So they had put up those vending machines where you had a choice of picking up the flavor that you want. And they were all connected. And they had millions of inputs of data what they received. Now the finding of that was, in UK, people preferred Sprite which was cherry flavored. Now, technically, if you remember, Sprite is supposed to be lemony. But it said, no, this cherry flavor is something which UK and parts of Europe liked. US, people preferred Sprite in mango. Now, you have a rich amount of data where the consumer has fed in, and the decision for a product team could have been the easiest thing is, okay, launch cherry Sprite in Europe and mango Sprite in US. And they did that. But it was not there on the shelves beyond 2 months. Today also, if you go, you would not find a cherry flavored Sprite anywhere or a mango flavored Sprite. So again, data is important, but how you leverage it and whether you want to leverage it also or not. There are certain insights that you get, but then I think that's the job where you would have to take a call. It's a data input available to you to take a larger call. But at the same time, Spotify cracked it. And you have that Spotify Wrapped. More than 400 million people using it. Again, you have your machine learning, artificial learning backend running, and it makes or recommends the playlist like Netflix of what you have heard over 12 months. Now, this runs into billions of data points. So the higher the data points, how well you get those data points, the accuracy is far higher than just running a propensity model on a very limited database. So I think today's marketers, and when I was seeing this, I was telling my colleague sitting with me, Karan, that way back in 99, 2000, and I was with Maruti then, the conferences were largely based on how to leverage print. You know, and you had multiple agencies coming and telling you what a creative in print should look like or in television. Radio ads was a very big thing at that time. Hoardings, wall painting. I mean, you used to have a separate budget, I remember, in those days where wall painting was a separate budget. And come 2023 and especially post-pandemic, I think the discussions are around because the data points are available. Earlier, on a conventional medium, you would just have the readership data, but can anybody tell me, you know, how many people actually saw my ad until unless I'm not on the first page? And even if you're on the first page, in the evening, if you ask the guy, you know, which ads did you see on the first page, he doesn't know, but you have burnt a few $1 billion on it. So having said that, I think leveraging data becomes very critical, and in today's world with digitization, IoT, and the way we are reaching out to our consumer, I think we are very much rich in terms of his ability to consume our messaging. Gone are the days of personalization, I think it is of customization. One size fit all had gone long back, but again you cannot club within the data saying this one specific set, this message will go. And I think when we saw all these tools and how we see, how do you leverage A/B testing? You know, because certain creators in certain regions might work better. You have multiple tools like CDP, CRM, you do data funneling. So marketing, I would say, has changed gears. It's become more surgical when you're talking about customers. And it's not only about a certain set of products or financial services. If you see, it goes across to every other product, whether it is a tangible product like automobiles or a consumer durable product, to services. So, and with the support, the way internet has reached across to all the people at the last level, and I was surprised the other day I was traveling and the guy knocked on my door and said, Saturday, you know, give that Shani ka paisa. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't have change. He says, Paytm kar do. I mean, that's the level of digitization which we have gone. And then when you're doing Paytm, now going to give him 10 rupees. So he's also gaining lot of money out of that. But he's a customer. He's using digital assets. So how are you going to leverage your data? In banks, we have about a current day a database of about our own customers is about more than 6.5 million customers. But not all are ready for the same product. There are certain set of customers whom I would not like to pursue further because my overall relationship value is not coming from there. So I think somewhere in the data, when we are talking on how we are looking as marketers, is we also now wear a dual hat. It is not only about building the brand, but it is either you contribute to the top line from marketing activities, or you contribute to the bottom line. And what is the savings that you're going to get in the overall piece? Engagement with the current customer, how do you continue to do that? How do you get more wallet share? Because each one of us sitting here, if we check our wallets, we will have at least 2 banks credit cards, I think so. Minimum 2 bank credit cards. We all might have at least 2 to 3 accounts. The number of banks is not growing, but the number of consumers who are banking is growing. But at the same time, you have a very larger pie which is eating into the same pocket, because I want the higher wallet share. How do I get to know that? Because I know how you're doing transactions. You have all the bureaus which are linked. So I know exactly what's your financial credibility. Now, what product to offer, what is that you like? Taking an example of credit cards. Do you like cashbacks? Do you like reward points? Airport lounge access? What is that you want? And we have realized that different age band, different sectors, different regions have a different requirement. So when I'm building the product right from designing of the credit card or the product, I have to keep all these data points in mind. Advertising that, popularizing that is part 2 to it. But I think where we leverage more is even at the product designing stage. We just went for a rebrand of Yes Bank, and I mean, all of us know Yes Bank went its own shares of troubles and challenges. But it's been now more than 9 quarters where we are profitable. And there was a thought in between of saying, why don't you change the name of the bank? So there where I'm coming to a last point which I really wanted to put it across and for the experts to discuss is hypothesis versus perception. So when you're doing your research or when you're looking at data, you have certain hypotheses in mind, okay. But a lot of times as marketers, and it's something which needs to change and the new generation will be changing, is perception should not cloud your hypothesis. Because then what happens is, in the way in Excel you do goal seek, you go the back way around and not how it is moving. So we had a certain set of audience which said you should change your name since you have gone through a bad phase. Then someone came and said, okay, you know, you change the way you write Yes Bank. We did an online research, we did a face-to-face research with all our constituents, including our prospective and customers and the customers who had left Yes Bank. Data proved it the other way around. And honestly, you know, when it is discussed at the larger places, you know, so 30 people out of that, if 5 say, you know, this is what we feel, that percentage looks much higher. But when you elaborate on the data and when you go deeper into it, you realize that it's not what the customer wants. It's not what the employee wants. And we retained the name. People loved our name. They said, okay, the structures have to remain same. They even told us on what kind of colors we should stay within. So all these things happened, and product is one part. Rebranding a bank which was totally led, I would say totally influenced by the data points that we received from customers and stakeholders across, helped us reach out there. So if that is what data is important, well, it's also you have to be very, very careful with data. Data is one very critical input. But as a brand, how do you interpret that data again becomes very, very critical. And does it fit into your overall organization's goals for that year? Now, the composition in marketing teams is tilting more towards data scientists, towards people who specialize in digital, especially the MarTech side. So MarTech again has become a very, very critical piece. A lot of times you would see products are launched more on digital rather than going above the line. And why is that so? Because the data says end of the day, the consumption is far higher when reached out through a specific medium and how the journey is designed. how easy it is for him, because today's generation and today all of us are very conveniently using, say, an Amazon or a Spotify or a Meta, Facebook, or LinkedIn, because it's with ease of buttons. So our expectation also on financial services is how easy it will be. Are you going to ask me to fill the entire form? Because more than 80% of the people are viewing your content is on mobile devices. So how easy that is going to be, where those drop-offs are happening, what is that relevant data that you need, and within that, from whom do you need? I think these are the things as a marketer, and sitting on the other side is something which we grapple also on daily basis. It becomes very easy to say that, you know, you have a data, go in for a campaign. It's not that simple. You need experts like people we are seeing over here and others who help us understand that. So having said that, thank you very much. And I hope these points are something which all of you will deliberate about over here, that how do we leverage quality data and how do you get quality data before you take the next step. Thank you very much.